Good morning. It is Tuesday, December the 14th, and this is The Drill. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So after the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare, the Star Spangled Banner, the Pledge of Allegiance, we will be, where are we at? There we go. We will have property rights, privacy and property rights, inflation is deliberate, the essence of morality, tornadoes, and a clip from There's No Free Lunch. All that when I come back. Thank you. And now the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare for December 14th. My kingdom is everlasting. My kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and my dominion endures through all generations. I am trustworthy in all I promise and faithful in all I do. I have established my throne in heaven, and my kingdom rules over all. Let men speak of the glory of my kingdom and talk of my power. I came to bring in everlasting righteousness and to establish my kingdom. My kingdom is not meat and drink, but righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. Prayer declaration. Lord, you have established your throne in heaven, and your kingdom rules over all. Your kingdom and reign will touch this generation. You have ransomed me and caused me to enter your kingdom with singing. You have given me a crown of everlasting joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. Amen. And that was the Daily Declaration for Spiritual Warfare for December 14th. Thank you. On Sean Hannity's show, he was doing a retrospective on what happened on January 6th, the trespassing that occurred on January 6th. And he said he made sure that he wanted everybody to know. He played clips of January 6th where he was condemning the violence, because apparently there were some left-wing yahoos that were making these vague accusations and assertions. And so he was, of course, reacting to them as the reactionary traditionalist that he is. But it's ineffective. In any case, what he said specifically was, I have always condemned violence, but he spoke also for conservatives and saying conservatives always condemn violence. No, he's wrong. Reactionaries condemn violence and do so when it suits them, but true conservatives don't condemn violence because true conservatives know that there's times when violence is called for. Self-defense, police officers, the National Guard, combat troops. We just got done with a war in Afghanistan and another one in Iraq over the past 20 years. And he supports the troops, and he supported their mission to subdue Osama bin Laden and to at least reduce the amount of terrorism and the threat of terrorism to the United States, and that required violence. So he's wrong about that. The issue here is, for conservatives, is for January 6th, property rights. The people that went into the Capitol area, went into the building, were not invited in, and so were trespassing, technically. It's supposed to be the people's house, and but that seems to be a lot of talk. Just talk sounds good. Something sounds good, but that when you get right down to it, I guess it's the only people that it belongs to are the government officials, the office holders. So, but anyways, there was trespassing. There may have been some destruction of property, of government property, that is rumored to have occurred. Those are the things that true conservatives stand up against. Same thing with when you're having masks, and if somebody on their property wants to demand that you wear a mask, you have to respect their property rights. You don't go in and start beating on them. The same thing on an airplane. If the airplane wants you to wear your mask, it's not your property. It's the airline's property, and you do what they ask, or don't get on the plane in the first place, or don't enter somebody's property in the first place. Same thing goes with January 6th. If you're don't have permission to go into the buildings, if there is people there that are resisting your efforts to get into the building, then it is time for you to stop what you're doing and go somewhere else. Stay outside, do your protests or whatever. But it is property rights that is the issue on January 6th for true conservatives. We disapprove of trespassing. When you're trespassing, you're no better than the squatters in Venice. Okay, so be a true conservative, respect property rights, even though it belongs to the government. Thank you. In the news, there's a new mask mandate by the state of California. Governor Newsom went ahead and said that you have to wear, when you're indoors, you have to wear masks, mandatory, everywhere. And then, if you have arenas with more than 10,000 people, et cetera, et cetera. So the mask mandate basically is back. And so, of course, predictably, all the reactionaries are out jumping up and down and screaming and yelling. As I would remind you, it's a property rights issue. If you go to the forum and they say you got to wear a mask to get inside, you got to do it, or get off their property and go somewhere else. So same thing, you go to a restaurant and they're saying you got to wear a mask, then you go ahead and wear that mask or go somewhere else. If you come to my house and I say you got to wear a mask, that's the way it is. If you think you're going to come inside and box with me, you're going to end up, what is it, the statement, you're going to draw back a stump, so to speak, because I'm going to put some violence on you like you've never seen before in your life if you try that stunt with me. Property rights are absolute. You own the property, you get to do with it as you see fit. And that's all there is to it. So the true conservative respects property rights. If you want to go in the building, you wear the mask. That's all you have to do. Now, there's, I think I've explained this just a couple of days ago. The one hitch here is that this is an unfunded government mandate. Okay, so that was done away with back in the 90s with Newt Gingrich. So what I do if I don't want to go ahead and fund their mandate, so to speak, government wants a mandate, that's fine. You pay for it. Government pays for it. It comes out of the government's budget. right? So in this particular case, what I do is I go to somebody's property and walk in without the mask. They say, oh, you got to have a mask. Oh, I forgot, or it broke, or I lost it, or I wiped my ass with it, or whatever. And then I ask them for a mask. And very often they have a stash of masks. Okay, because the thing is, if you, one of the things that you can do is that, yes, it's your property, but I'm not going to go out and buy a mask just so I can get on your property. If you want me to wear one, then you should have the decency to provide those masks. Okay, so that's the one hitch on the mask thing. If you want to do this and you want to make your statement, simply don't buy any masks. Okay, don't buy any masks. Go from place to place. You leave the grocery store, you take the grocery store's mask off, throw it in the trash. The next place you go, and let's say a fast food restaurant, oh, you got to have a mask. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my mask, or it broke, or I wiped my ass with it, or whatever. Do you have any extras? And they will, and they'll give you one. And then this way, you don't have to pay for the stupid mandate. That's the best way to handle it. Along with the mask mandate, I want to remind everybody that the true conservative, as far as vaccines are concerned, privacy is another issue. It's vital, absolutely essential that you maintain your privacy, and it's nobody's damn business whether you're vaccinated or not. Now, the hitch, again, of course, is if you're going to go on somebody's property, but they want proof that you've been vaccinated before they'll let you on, then you got to respect their property. Okay, so you got to ask: is it worth it to spill my guts, so to speak, to get onto this property? Yes or no. And it's not a mandate that is going to cost you anything. The vaccination doesn't cost you anything. The proof of vaccination doesn't cost you anything. So it's a for all intents and purposes, a funded mandate. So there's basically going to come down to whether or not how badly you want to get onto that particular property. Now, having said all this, if you want to really protest, what you need to do is find a way to get groups, get organized, get groups of people, and go protest the businesses that are demanding mandates. Protest in some way, shape, or form. Call for a boycott, go online, whatever. You can do it, approach the situation that way, express your displeasure. But it's still about privacy and property rights. Thank you. Let's talk about inflation these days. Today, there were some more new numbers about how high inflation is going, and then there's questions about transitory inflation or permanent inflation. And tomorrow, the Fed is supposed to be meeting, and they're going to be discussing when they're likely to start raising interest rates, etc. So, and a lot of people are saying, all the reactionaries are saying, well, it's Joe Biden's fault. One guy they had on, Ben Stein, on the radio this evening said it's Joe Biden's fault, and that it's either negligence or negligence so bad it could be said to be deliberate. Okay, so, and it's not Biden's fault at all. It is actually Richard Nixon's fault. You have to go all the way back to President Richard Nixon. He is the one that took us off the gold standard, because inflationary economy means Keynesian. Okay, we went off the gold standard, and the whole world went ahead and took a Keynesian model, in which the government basically is in charge of the economy, and they put the government in charge of the economy because it's supposed to help to guarantee ever-increasing prosperity, so that I make more money than my parents did, and my children make more money than I do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, because and this is all because of a book written by a man named Herbert Crowley called "The Promise of American Life," and he claims in that book that the promise of American life is, in fact, ever-increasing prosperity. It's crap. There is no such thing as a promise to American life. There's a dream or a cultural cliche called the American dream, in which you have a house and a yard and a white picket fence and that kind of thing. But there's no promise to American life. But That was Crowley. So Richard Nixon went ahead and took us off the gold standard. We're fully on an inflationary model. The only real surprise here is that it's taken this long. We haven't had inflation in this country since the 80s. As a matter of fact, I think late 70s, early 80s. Richard Nixon, during his administration, they used to have win buttons, a button that you would wear that read WIN, Whip Inflation Now. And so, anyway, so that's one of the ways, and inflation is one of the ways that you're supposed to be stimulating the economy. Okay, you put money into various different sectors and whatnot to keep the economy moving. But the whole idea is not for it to overheat, because then once it overheats, then it might have a tendency to crash, and we're back to a boom and bust economy. And that's what they were trying to get rid of with Keynes and Keynesian economics. So, just to review, the fact that we're going to experience inflation for the first time in maybe 40 years has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump, and it has everything to do with Richard Nixon and Richard Nixon taking us off the gold standard. Ayn Rand, one of the best things she said, the two best things she said, one was trust your conscience, trust yourself. Second best thing is understand essences, vital to understand essences, so you can tell things apart. What is the essence of ethics? And I would argue that the essence, summed up in one single sentence of ethics is, or morals is probably the better way to put it, is thou shalt not shield anyone from the consequences of their actions. Okay? I think that that about sums it up. Thank you very much. Being MAGA, when we talk about MAGA, Make America Great Again, those of us that are right around Donald Trump's age remember what it was like back in the day when America was truly, truly great. Everything about America was great. It was better than everything else in the world. Our postal service was we used to get postal service twice a day, in morning and afternoon, and then again on Saturday. So, and if you put something in the mail, you could rely it was going to get to its destination and get there in a reasonable time. Now, it's a mystery. It's a crapshoot. You put it in the mail, who knows? It might end up in some mail guy's truck or in a storage unit or whatever. You have no idea. So, anyways, that was back in the day when that was reliable. The phone system, we had a monopoly. AT&T ran the phone system for the whole United States. They were divided up into little companies that were called Baby Bells. So like in LA area, you would get with Pacific Bell and et cetera. So that's how you get your phone system set up. And our phone system worked, and it worked beautifully. Every time you picked up the phone, there was a dial tone. And you made a phone call anywhere in the world. But most, usually you're going to make the calls anywhere in the United States, and it was a quality phone call, not like the crap we have to work with today, where you've got latency, you've got echoes, and the quality of the phone calls is just abysmal compared to what it used to be. Back in the day. That was the envy of the world. Our news was the envy of the world. It was the most reliable broadcast anywhere in the world. When Walter Cronkite or Roger Mudd or one of their compatriots said something, you could take it to the bank. You did not have to stop and wonder and worry, well, is this political propaganda or anything like that. It was a period of nonprofit news, by the way. But the point is, everything that went on in America was the envy of the rest of the world. We were truly great, and this is back in the 60s and 70s. Now, in terms of greatness, another sign that we had that America was great, and still is, by the way, one of the few areas that hasn't been denigrated by the left is our emergency services and our ability to withstand disasters. There was a tornado in Kentucky, and I think it was in Kansas. I heard or read that it was substantial. It went on for 200 miles. It was a really big tornado. 75 people dead, and really bad. But anywhere else in the world that a tornado struck, you might have, especially if it's the Middle East or maybe parts of Africa or South America, you might very well have tens of thousands dead. I remember back in the 80s, there was a huge earthquake, not really that huge, 7-ish. Maybe, 7.5 on the Richter scale in Iran. And tens of thousands died. And I was stunned. I'd been through a 7 earthquake in California, at least one. And there was a Silmar quake. And we have quakes out here every day. Every day we have dozens of quakes, most of which we don't even pay attention to. It doesn't even bother us. Okay? And if we have a large enough quake to have fatalities, they're kept to a minimum. The fatalities and the injuries will run in maybe a dozen or so with the deaths, and then the injuries may be 20 or 30 injuries. But in Iran and other parts of the world, tens of thousands of people die. Because they don't have any building codes over in the Middle East, and so people just build their houses out of whatever the hell they want to, and then if and when an earthquake strikes, then they are, of course, devastated. So here in the United States, we are building the quality of our construction is superior. So. That has to be remembered in this situation. 75 people died, and I wish they didn't. But it could have been, without superior construction techniques and whatnot, it could have been 75,000. So it's something that we need to keep in mind. Thank you. And now a segment from the book, There's No Free Lunch. Quote, "The market makes human relations more dignified. The system of exchange, as opposed to the more aristocratic system of owner and tenant, allows even the less privileged to address society in terms of what they have to offer rather than what they need. Abject dependence upon the benevolence of others is demoralizing. Extending the rule of the market to all helps most men avoid this fate and so allows them to function as dignified equals," unquote. Yuval Levin. The way in which human dignity is respected by this process is hard to overstate. Market exchange equalizes the two parties in that they both have something to offer and both have a need or a want to be satisfied. The welfare state, a redistributionist accord, and the pre-Enlightenment feudal system all share an inferiority to the market system in that they reframe the role of our economic actor to that of a subordinate. A market economy allows for dignity and civility. And that was a little piece from There's No Free Lunch by David, and it looks like Hansen. Thank you. And I wanted to remind everybody, first of all, bring back Brian Suits. Bring back Brian Suits. Big gap in the KFI programming on Saturday and Sunday. Bring back Brian Suits and his shows and fill that gap. Secondly, on KFI is two shows that I recommend as being models in which they're basically role models for being how to be a conservative, how to speak conservatively, think conservatively, act conservatively. And that's the John and Ken show that is on KFI from 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the Rick Edelman show, which is on Sundays from 2 to, I believe it's 4 p.m. on Sundays on KFI. So those are two excellent, role models, or leave it at role models. Anyhow, so until next time, be polite, be smart, be beautiful, and remember that the left has no authority, no power, and they can't win.